Hello, friends, and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast. We're talking about the live-action One Piece show on Netflix, based on the incredible anime, and which is based on the incredible manga of the same name. But the Netflix show is live action.
That's right.
And it, for me, absolutely works. You know,
totally works.
Worried that it wasn't going to capture the vibe.
Mm-hmm. It is.
But it's totally capturing the vibe. They're doing amazing things with their production design. They're going just far enough. We've discussed this in the other two episodes. We've discussed the previous two episodes, and we've talked about how great the production design is, and and just the direction and the overall conceptual unity of how they've transposed a really radically crazy anime into a mostly grounded type of live action fantasy that is a little bit towards anime land, and a little bit towards Game of Thrones land, and a little bit towards Harry Potter-ish kind of thing. And I think they've done a remarkable job.
I really enjoy it. It's just got a cool vibe. This was directed by Emma Sullivan. It's called Tell No Tales. That's what they're calling this one. We're going kind of in a way like location based. It almost seems like so far, like each episode seems location based. Also, Matt Owens is one of the writers on this, and she also Emma Sullivan also did some Doctor Who. So, I like that they're keeping people in the kind of genre-esque people, which is, you know, like whether it's Marvel or Doctor Who, it's like I feel like they can bring the fanciful feel to it, and I think they're doing that, but they're keeping it again a little quieter, a little more low key. But then when the fight stuff happens, it's like, wow, it's great. Yeah, they do a great job just framing that and making it like that, and just
making these sort of broad characters, these sort of, I guess, super characters into human characters as well. Like you really care about them and you like them. Yeah. And I mean, they realize that a superhero or in a way, the characters in this show are superheroes. Yeah. In a way, they're like superheroes. But the main thing about characters like that is that they also have to have a humanity to them, or else they don't work. And that's what the Marvel shows really do well at. You know, you get the backstory, and you get the reality of this person. You also get the downside of having a superpower or a super ability, or being a special person, you know. Yep. So this one is called Tell No Tales. It is the first half of the Usopp story, like the syrup village story. The gang of the three core members, Luffy and his friends Zoro and Nami, are now on this little boat that Nami stole from some pirates, and
not looking
suddenly
good.
It's leaking, and they're like, you know, we just started being pirates, and now we got a boat that leaks.
So annoying. We just got rid of that stupid, like, buggy clown. Now our boat's sinking. So they end up on Gecko Island, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, there's a boatyard there. And Luffy's like, let's go get a boat. And you're like, don't you have to buy those kind of things? Like, and, you know, Nami is like, how are you going to pay for this?
Just going to give me one. And if you just talk to people, we'll just talk to them. Give them a.
I'll ask them if I can have
it. I love the scene because the Going Merry is so iconic. You know, we see it in the posters, we see it in the previews, we see it in the anime. So when you get your first look at the Going Merry, like that, it was just like, I got chills. I was like, oh my God, there it is. At that point, though, it's not Luffy's. It's just sitting in the shipyard. So he can't have it yet. What's he going to do? I don't know.
They meet Usopp, this guy who's cleaning the boat. You know, he's kind of like the chore boy of the shipyard. He had a funny
name for it, though. He called it like something like the sanitation technician. Like he had this funny name, and like, so you clean up barnacles and shit. Okay.
Yeah. The incrustation eradicator or something like that.
And he does seem to tell tall tales. He does seem to elaborate a lot on things that do not sound true at all.
Well, his name is kind of a play on Aesop, you know, Aesop's fables.
That's right.
And in the anime, he had a very long nose, which the implication was Pinocchio. You know, when he told a lie, his nose got longer and longer. So Usopp's nose was like really long, so that implied that he told a lot of lies, right?
A lot.
And you see him when he's a little kid running through the village saying, "The pirates are coming! Pirates are coming!"
Mm-hmm.
Everybody at first they're like, "Oh no, let's get out! We have to evacuate." And then you see it again, and people are like, "Really?" And then the third time he does it, people are like, "Shut up!"
Like, all right, already. And you find out he's been doing this his whole life. This kind of stuff. It's pretty funny.
So then you see him as an older guy, like a grown-up guy running through the streets. The pirates are coming.
Right. Everybody's just thinking, oh, there he goes again. And you know that what happened to the little boy who cried wolf? You know what happened? There were really wolves. So one of these days he's going to be right? So
and then nobody's going to believe him.
No, they're not going to be ready. And then they're going to be complaining. No, how come no one told us? He's like, I did tell you. It's like, oh yeah.
But anyway, he's done this his whole life. He's done this storytelling his whole life that he's actually really good at it. And he tells some funny stories. And he's got this friend who is a sickly girl who lives in the big mansion, and her family owned this massive shipyard. So she's very wealthy. But he actually seems like he likes her as a person, as a friend.
Yeah.
And he's not after her money or anything. He's got a job in the shipyard. He seems kind of content with the job. Yeah. He seems like a good guy. You know, he's not like after anything. He just likes to entertain her because I think he feels sorry for her because her whole life has been sort of locked up in this mansion, and now she's getting sick for some reason, and he sneaks into her house and tells her these wild stories about giant
he brings her
goldfish and
things he's seen and his travels.
So he brings her a rock, you know, and she says, "Oh, what is this?" And he says, "It's a giant pearl that I found when I was fighting the massive giant monster goldfish in the ocean." And she's like laughing. You know, she knows he's not telling the truth, but she's entertained and she likes him. And he kind of, I think, knows that she doesn't really believe him, but he does it in a way that's just entertaining. He's a storyteller.
Exactly. So, but he does have a way into her palace. Like she's the shipyard owner. They're the shipyard. They're very wealthy. So since he has an in, he lets them in. They have a little secret way in. So they get into the house
through the servants' entrance. It goes through the walls. In the anime, he just used to climb up a tree, but in this one, he comes through like the service entrance and comes in through like a secret door in her wall.
I like that. It was cute.
Guys, I hope they have a butler named Clahador who she's like, I hope he never finds out that
he's so weird looking. Oh my god, he's so diabolical. I mean, the minute you see him, you know he's up to no good. Like there's no way this guy's on the level because he's just too weird looking.
And they kind of reveal it pretty quickly too, which is nice. It's like it doesn't make you think,
they don't waste time in this show at all. You know where you stand.
Yeah, he's up to no good, obviously. And the thing about the girl, she's Kaya. She is this wealthy girl who lives in the mansion, but she seems really sweet, and she seems like she's not obsessed with her money or her status or anything. But the sad thing about her is that her parents died, leaving her the sole heir of their fortune. But the thing is, she's not old enough. She's like 17 or something. So at midnight on a certain date, she becomes old enough to actually inherit the money. And her lawyer also, I think, has his quarters in her house. And he's saying, you know, it's coming up to the time when you're going to be the heir of the fortune. And, you know, at midnight on this one particular night. But then you find out pretty quickly that her butler Clahador is doing something very bad. He
gives her a very special health soup that is the only thing she's allowed to eat, which instantly you're like, yeah, it's not good.
But it looks like that blue drink stuff that you used to get at like raves, you know, where you
it's very like, oh, it's like you don't eat anything super bright turquoise blue. It just does not seem right.
Right.
And even she doesn't want it. Like she wants something else to eat. Yeah. He doesn't let her, and it's really sad. Her story is very sad. It's very low-key sad.
Yeah, but she's one of those classic characters of somebody who's being exploited, but she's just too kind-hearted to realize it. She doesn't think that people are going to be that way. She's like, no, he's not that. He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. He's been working with my family for so long. But then gradually she comes to the understanding, through the helpful influence of the Luffy, the Straw Hat Pirates. But they still kind of have, there's a little bit of thievery going on with her, and she's like, okay, well, you're pirates, that's what you do, you're going to steal from me. But then they feel kind of bad about it, and
because she's so nice.
Nami ends up putting back the things that she stole from her.
I like too where she walks into a room with her bag full of stuff she's stealing, and she doesn't realize that she's in there, and she looks at her and goes, oh, where are you? Oh, I thought this was the bathroom. And she goes, looks at the bag, and she puts it down. It's a big clattering sound. It clearly filled with valuables. She's like, it's okay.
You're pirates. That's what pirates do,
She's like, what? Like, it was kind of like, it was very sad. It was very cute.
I know.
Then you're like, exploiting her.
She's like, and she also says something like, I just have so much stuff in this house that I don't, I don't care. Take it,
Yeah.
But then Nami feels really bad, and she ends up putting it back. So that's kind of like a little bit of explanation of her character a little bit. We haven't yet seen her backstory. We don't know Nami's backstory.
No, not yet.
But in I believe it's in this episode where we start getting a little bit of backstory of Zoro.
Yes. That's a great, I love that storyline.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So the story of Zoro is he's being, he's training. Is that in this episode? You saw that part, right? Okay, it must be in the next episode. All right, so we don't really get too much about Zoro in this one.
No, but I loved it in the anime. We'll probably get it soon.
Pretty great. I'm getting mixed up. I'm ahead one.
But there's so much, because we're watching the anime and this together,
I know,
and we're trying to watch them all. Because really, it's one huge long movie. I mean. Yeah. We're trying to figure out where we are in the narrative by watching them all at once. It's a little confusing, but I do feel very steeped in one piece. So it's a cool feeling to have that Luffy vibe and the pirates and the swashbuckling. I like it. It's pretty much all I do now is watch the anime. And it's like, no wonder I'm confused. But no, this is all pretty much centered on the house and getting their boat and Usopp. And his backstory a little bit as a little kid, and
and we also see a little bit more of Kobe and the Marines.
Yeah,
there's a new Marines guy who shows up named Garp, who's got this incredible boat with a dog on the front that looks like my dog Darwin, except a little bit more mean. But it's got like a dog head on the front of his boat with a bone in his mouth, and his theme is dog stuff. And when he shows up at the Marine base, he's wearing this hat with the ear flaps, and it's got like a little.
I want that hat so much.
It's like the most. It's like something a baby would wear. It's like the most not intimidating headgear that you could imagine. But he's
if you guys know where I can get this hat, please put it in the comments because I need this hat. I need this hat. No way am I making it. No, you guys show me where the official hat is.
It
has to exist. Burk will make it, but you can tell me.
I know how to make stuff like that. I can make that hat.
You can make it so easily.
But it's so fun, the design on this thing. He's supposed to be this badass, intimidating guy who shows up and everybody's afraid of him. They're like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he's wearing this little dog hat with the floppy ears on the side.
I know, and he's yelling at him and you have this little cute face on his head. Like, what the hell?
And nobody's laughing. Everybody's like intimidated. And Kobe is terrified because it's like his first day as a Marine cadet. And you also realize that the axe hand Morgan has been put in his place because he let the pirates escape. And you also see his son Helmeppo, incredibly played by Aidan Scott in this, who is the embodiment of anime, that guy. And just such a broad character, and that is such a hard type of character to play. Someone who is just completely ridiculed and ridiculous, and
exactly.
You don't like him, and you don't. He's kind of like the Prince Joffrey of the show in a way.
He kind of is a lot hotter, Joffrey. But I like where they had like the scene where he's practicing his moves, like it was shirtless, and he's practicing his sword moves.
He's fully naked in that.
When the camera pulls back, I'm like, whoa, like fully nude man. Like, okay, I'm not sure if it was this episode or last one, but that's burned into my memory. Oh well,
yeah, he's naked.
He looked good. He looked really
good. Then Zorro comes in and he's like not even phased, and he's like, "Are you going to kill me?" And he's like, "No."
I like he pulls a little toy in front of himself. A little, so weird. That's the kind of weird humor this has, which I do like.
And he says, "Are you going to kill me?" And Zorro says, "I'm going to do something worse." And then you find out later that he cut his hair. He gave him this,
and it's really bad. It's a terrible haircut. It's like it's like half of it's long, half of it's short. That was not cool of him to do that.
But then, of all things, Kobe gets put together with that guy as they're both cadets. Now Helmeppo has to actually be a Marine. He has to be a cadet. He has to salute and stand in order. And while his father now, Axe Hand Morgan, is now tied to the same stake that that he had tied Zorro to, and this new guy coming in, Garp is strangely interested in the pirates who were there because he heard a description about the straw hat and he goes, a straw hat. So there's some kind of connection here, and you get the impression that he is focusing in on Kobe because Kobe knew them and had once been friends with them and was rescued by Luffy. And so he says, this pirate's name is Luffy, huh? And so then he takes a special interest in Kobe and puts Kobe on the case of going, going after these pirates. And for some reason, he's got this obsession with these three sort of newbie pirates. And like, why is he so concerned about them?
Yeah, what's the deal with this? I don't know. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. So they need a new boat. They go there to this island and they meet these people. They get involved in the Syrup Town politics and all that kind of stuff. The thing that is interesting about this episode is in the anime, this is the story arc that a lot of people seem to think is one of the worst story arcs. And I think I know why. I think they spent too much time in that trench thing where the other pirates were coming and they had the big fight in the trench.
It was like literally like 10 episodes long. That's one fight just would not end.
But they completely left that story out of this. They left it out. The other pirates don't come. This is all about the household. The wealthy girl's house and her butler Clahador.
I liked that because it felt a little more contained and grounded that way. Like we had this location, we had the storyline, we had this sinister plot that, this mystery they were solving. And I don't know, I enjoyed that because I feel like if you take it back out into, another battle with another big bad, it's like, save that for the next. And again, I think it's about pacing too. Like if you're watching this live action, you do need that kind of pacing difference or it's all going to start looking the same, which I think was really smart of them to do that.
It needs to have a consistency to it. And this does. It never gets boring. It doesn't have any of those moments where you're like, too much talking or whatever. It does have some talk and it does have some, I don't need to be inundated with action constantly, but as long as there's some really interesting character development or some interesting processes going on or intrigue or mystery or some kind of cleverness in the story. And this show is just packed with that. It's really fun with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The way we go back and forth to Kobe's story, and Kobe in the anime at this point doesn't exist anymore. He disappeared early in the story.
Yeah.
But he's been a consistent character in this anime so far. We've followed Kobe's his development as he became a cadet, and when he gets his first assignment from Garp, and he's got to weigh his allegiance because at one point Garp says, "Do you owe any allegiance to this Luffy?" And Garp's answer, he doesn't give him a direct answer. He doesn't say yes or no. He says he's a pirate, and
that's right.
And he's like, okay, good. And so he's like, oh, okay, yeah. And I think what Garp is doing is using Kobe, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's his way in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what'd you think of Arlong? They show us like just a brief moment of the fish guy with like the weird makeup nose. I guess. Yeah. That was very strange.
Like a sawfish nose.
I didn't even remember it being that weird in the anime, but when you see it in this, you're like, that is just weird. Yeah, it was pretty entertaining. They had a kind of fun scene with that, which was kind of
and they went for it. You know, the show is kind of going a little bit more and a little bit more. The first pirate you see is the woman on the ship. You know, she kind
of looks normal.
Alvida, yeah, she's a human. You know, she's kind of got a normal kind of crew. Her styling isn't it's not totally overboard. She doesn't have any kind of wild makeup or anything.
That's right.
And then you meet some other people and they get more and more broad, you know, and then finally you get to Buggy, and then finally you get to this guy with the blade nose.
That's true. They're like ramping up the bad guys to be even more and more absurdist and more stylized and have weird contraptions or weapons that are part of their bodies, or you know, it's just getting more and more fanciful. It's almost like they're kind of like easing you into the absurdity of it, which I think was kind of smart.
Yeah. And it's also, I think the stories, it seems to me that the stories are kind of developing in a way too as you go along. You mentioned, I think you mentioned Harry Potter earlier. And one thing I've always liked about the Harry Potter movies, I actually enjoy the Harry Potter movies. I enjoy them more now than I did when they came out, because I remember when I saw the first one, I was like, well, it's like a kid's movie. It's kind of like a Disney-ish kind of fun kids, and the kids are cute and all that, but it wasn't really my kind of movie. But after they made all, 700, however many film there were, of the Harry Potter story, you realize what was going on there. The story grew up with the kids.
Yes.
And by the time you get through the episodes of Harry Potter, they're dark. And the stories between the kids are about teenager stuff and older kid stuff. And
that's right.
And finally, when you get to the end of it, it is dark and heavy, and that's what I like about the Harry Potter sequence. And I have a feeling that One Piece is kind of doing that in a way. When it starts off, Luffy is happy-go-lucky, and as it goes on, he gets more and more situations where you think he's in real danger. This is not make-believe. This isn't like him just having fun on the high seas playing playing pirate with his pals. It's like you could almost, you almost died, and your friends almost died, and so it's getting a little heavier and heavier, I think, too.
It is. And so we've added in Usopp as a new crew member. He goes by the end of this. Yeah. And so I like that, we're getting new locations, new enemies, and then we're adding to this group. So we're getting to know them one by one in a way. Like you add the new dynamic to the group. They're still reluctant to be a group. They're still like, how did we get here? But they're like, let's just see where this goes. Luffy, now he has a ship. They got the ship.
But they're coming along, there's one scene in the second episode when Zoro is tied up and the guy comes in on his unicycle, and they did have that unicycle guy from the anime, but they toned him down a little bit, but he was still pretty cool. I think he looked like the guy from the Human League with his haircut, and sort of emo, he's got like the hair. And but he was really cool. And even a small character like that who comes in, the guy comes in, and there's a scene where he's like, you killed my brother, you tracked us like we were like a demon, and
That's right.
It was heavy, it was really well performed. It was
sad.
And you're like, these little moments like that is just a character who's in one episode, but he was so memorable and so good. And what you see there too with Zoro is he hears Luffy screaming, like Luffy's being tortured by Buggy, and he's tied up. And I think it was at that moment when he came to this realization, and then the guy, the Phil Oakley guy with the haircut comes in, and I think he says something about cynicism or something, and he says, no, Luffy has this spirit, and it's rubbing off on me. And then when he gets down off of that thing, when he finally escapes, and he and Nami escape, he smiles. I've been watching this with my wife, and she was like, "Oh, he smiled," and it's like it was a big moment,
because he's so grouchy.
And I think it was at that moment he realized maybe we are a crew,
Yeah, he's like, I'm not minding this as much as I thought I would.
We have each other's backs.
I know, it's so cute. I know it kind of makes me sad in a way. I only have 5 more episodes, but the only thing that sustains me is I have 1,000 more episodes of the anime, so we're okay. Yeah, it'll be all right.
I have a feeling. I'm wondering if people are liking it. I'd love to hear from the anime fans and manga fans, the old school One Piece fans, if they could leave some comments down here. Do you like it? Did you guys like binge on all 8 episodes already? And are you gonna give it positive reviews on your social media and your whatnot, and make sure that there is a second series and an perhaps ongoing series of One Piece? Because 8 episodes.
I hope there's a season 2. It's not enough, and it's so lovingly produced. Like I just feel like there is some real care taken into this production. So I'm hoping we're rewarded with some, a season 2. That would be nice.
Yeah. And it doesn't replace the anime. It doesn't ruin the anime. It's not like
treat.
It's another thing based in that universe. And that's one thing I always hate to hear on the internet, where people say, it destroyed my childhood memories. It's like, no, it didn't. It added to someone else's childhood memories. You're not a child anymore. Those things still exist. You can always go back and watch them again, but this is a new, different aspect.
It's a try. That's right. And they did it right. They did it with the right people. They did it with, the talented people. They cared. This wasn't just like, again, like a quick runoff. Did they get everything right? No. Is it perfect? No, but it is super fun. I'm enjoying it. The fact this exists is why I'm watching the anime at all. So it's getting both things for me. I'm getting to watch the live action, and I'm starting to watch the anime, which I've never really done before. So that's sort of what I like, is it's bringing in new fans and new people. And so they'll always have that going for them.
Yeah. So, and it's pure escapism. It's like the ultimate type of escapism.
That's right.
I used to kind of not like fantasy type things. I used to have a bit of a problem with things that didn't sort of have a basis in a recognizable reality. Mm-hmm. But I've gotten older, I kind of realized it's sort of fun to see a completely fabricated world. I love science fiction on fabricated worlds, where everything is new and created, but still kind of, the earth still exists, and that kind of thing. But in this, you feel like this is another world that doesn't exist. The continents don't even look the same, and the planet, I don't even know if they use the word Earth, but it's like
it's alternate reality.
It's an alternate reality.
World.
Yeah,
that's right. Let us know what you guys are thinking about the series so far. We're only on this is our 3rd episode. We're going to keep going. We're going to do them all, and let us know what you think about it so far.
Yeah. Let us know if you're liking it, and if it's working, and if you're okay with the fact that it changes things and condenses the story and leaves parts out. Is it leaving out parts that you are like, oh no, they left out my favorite thing? And they didn't show. One of the things that they left out that I really wanted to see was a flashback with Buggy and Shanks when they were kids. That was in the anime that I thought was hilarious, because you find out that Buggy really is a clown. That's his real.
He's got that nose. That's true.
So they left that out, and I was like, oh no. But then you know what? That is one of those tangents that takes you back to someone who's not a main character.
That's right. And it's like we're getting to know our crew, and they're getting the flashbacks, and I'm okay with that structure. I think that's okay.
Yes.
All right,
and it's you guys for choice to figure out what not to put in. That's a huge.
I don't know how it'd be so heartbreaking to have to cut stuff that you love. I know that really works, but they're giving it a shot.
Yeah.
All right, so I hope you guys like this review, episode 3, and we're gonna be moving on to episode 4 very soon, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.